Just like football, clap, 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 clap. Ring that victory bell.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I am your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free. And as always, I appreciate your support. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet, do me a favor, hit that red subscribe button. It would mean a whole heck of a lot. And to those of you who already have, thank you so very, very, very much. All right, this episode of Locked On USC is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. All right, USC is still a football school, always will be. I know I goof around with that on occasion, saying that, USC is a hoop school. And I think they can be. What I think they can be is both, but primarily they are a football school. However, when USC hosts UCLA in hoops, Galen Center can rock like no other arena in the country. And I'm not the one, I'm a little biased, but Andy Enfield's been around the country, and he noticed when USC and UCLA hook up at Galen, there's very few arenas around the country that can rival what Galen offers. Tonight was one of those nights. Really loud, really energetic, and I think everyone who was in attendance had a good time. Why not, right? USC, they beat the Bruins 77-64. Some of the people in attendance weren't just almost sold out Galen. There was a few seats left up in the upper corners. Nevertheless, student section filled up really quickly. In fact, they had a line wrapped around back onto, what was that? Flower Street, going behind Galen, behind the parking structure of the USC Hotel, back towards Exposition. Long line, and students, you guys did fantastic, and everybody showed up. Like I said, great crowd. Among the crowd was your Heisman Trophy winner, USC's 8th, Caleb Williams, as well as many of his footballer teammates. They were there. They actually, Caleb was introduced during a timeout, went out to center court, struck the Heisman pose, and also during timeouts was throwing some free T-shirts to the fans in attendance. And those guys, they got to watch the Trojans come back from a 12-point halftime deficit. They were down 37-25, and they didn't look good. They couldn't make any baskets, and they were playing hard. They were playing defense, but UCLA was making their shots. USC wasn't. Kind of been the story of the season so far. And USC was able to erase that 12-point halftime deficit, and then they actually literally cruised to their 77-64 win over UCLA, who was coming into the game the number 8 team in the country. But that loss was UCLA's second in a row. They're coming off a loss Saturday in Tucson. USC experienced that loss in Tucson last Thursday, but they came home with a split. They beat Arizona State on Saturday. So now USC has a 2-game winning streak, and UCLA is on a 2-game losing streak. How's that feel? How's that taste? In the second half, Boogie Ellis, he literally was just dancing in the mind. Well, firstly, he was just dancing all over the court. He was in fuego in the second half. Dude was, he put USC on his back and carried them to the win. he literally had Mick Cronin had no choice but to just watch what he was doing. It got to the point where I think Mick's frustration boiled over, and he got a technical really late in the game. The game was already at hand. It didn't make a difference. It just gave Boogie a chance to shoot a couple more free throws and pad his point total. So he had 31 points on the game. 27 of those came in the second half. In the final 20 minutes, UCLA scored 27 points in the second half as a team. USC outscored them in the second half, 52-27. Wow. That's a smackdown. That is a beatdown. And that wasn't just enough for Boogie. He also had 6 assists with no turnovers. So he had a really, really solid game. Remember, when these two teams met a few weeks ago at Pauley Pavilion, USC erased an 18-point halftime deficit, and they actually took the lead with less than 30 seconds left in the game, and they saw that game slip away. They should have won that game. And if you remember, Boogie struggled big time in that game. And you also, if you're watching against ASU, you saw him get his butt chewed out hard during a late game timeout by Coach Enfield. Well, after tonight's game, Andy was very quick to let everybody know that he played like a first-round draft choice tonight against UCLA, and that's from his coach. So it wasn't just Boogie against UCLA, but although he was definitely in the zone Thursday night, and that wasn't lost on Boogie because this was on the third anniversary of Kobe Bryant's death, and Boogie idolized Kobe, as many players did, as I did. But again, it wasn't just Boogie on the night. Drew Peterson, he had 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting. He had a big second half. He also had 4 rebounds, but he also had 5 more turnovers. He's got to get that under control. I love so much of Drew's game, but there's times where he just gets a little loose with his handles and trying to do too much with his passing. So, I mentioned Boogie he caught the Dragons' fire, Andy, against ASU. Like I said, if you saw that timeout, you know what I'm talking about. But it wasn't, he caught the wrath, but it was everything combined in that game. It was Boogie, it was Drew, it was Reese Dixon Waters, just being really sloppy and making dumb decisions late down the stretch until, Enfield just went nuclear. He had to get their attention. I also found out before the game tonight, I get there early, like to do the rounds, talk to my peoples. Apparently, it carried over into the locker room after that 8-point victory, and that's okay. Teams have these types of things throughout the season, and you need to have those types of airing out sessions in a locker room. It clears the air, and I don't know if it helped the team down the stretch in this game against UCLA. That'll never be known, but I think it was beneficial. I don't think it hurt. For instance, in that final 4 minutes and 51 seconds against Arizona State, USC had 77 points at that juncture. They finished the game with 77 points. They had 7 turnovers or 8 turnovers during that 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Well, against UCLA, they had 9 turnovers total in the game. Only 2 in the second half. UCLA had 13 turnovers on the game. 8 of those came in the second half. USC had 14 assists. UCLA had 13 assists. So while it wasn't a great, assist to turnover ratio, it was definitely better than UCLA's 1-to-1. as far as USC's defense, it was pretty good for most of the game. It was fantastic. Again, their big glaring defense on this team, besides rebounding, is they go cold for stretches offensively. That happened in the first half. It didn't happen as much in the second half, but that offensive rebounding that they give up to the other teams, they've got to get that under control. In this game, they lost the battle of the boards 34-26. It was even more evident on, as I just mentioned, the offensive glass, where they were outdone 15-5. And that led to 16 second chance points for UCLA. Man, get that fixed. And this game's really a blowout. So what they have fixed, maybe, is their free throw shooting. In their last game, they were 14 for 14. Tonight, they were 17 for 18. And they were 16 for 16 in the second half. That'll get it done. And I think that's what had Andy so pissed off and upset in their last game, is they weren't getting to the free throw line down the stretch when they were making them. They were throwing the ball out of bounds. They were throwing alley-oops out of bounds. They were just doing dumb stuff. Anyways, in this game, and I mentioned Nick got a technical late. Pac-12 officiating, again, was atrocious. Everyone will agree with that. But this is a big win for USC basketball. And I'm making you guys listen. I'm going to turn you into a USC basketball fan. You got nothing to do. And if you would have been at Galen Center tonight, you would have experienced it. You would understand why you can be a football fan and a basketball fan. Anyways, this was a big win for a couple of reasons. Number one, they beat the number 8 team in the country. So it happened on ESPN. It was an early tip-off, 6 p.m. So that means everyone in the country got to watch. That's great. Galen was loud. It was packed. It was loud as I can't say how loud it was, but it was loud. And what was great about it was Boogie. He got the crowd energized, and the team fed off of it. First shot of the game, I was like, whoa, roar. That step back 3, dagger shot with about a minute and a half left. The place erupted like they just won, the conference championship game or something. It was great. So not only was it a resume win, which they desperately needed for the tournament, for their tournament hopes. However, 2023 commit and signee Silas Demary Jr. was in the house with his family. By the way, his dad was having a great time. I'll put some Twitter video up there. You'll see him. Guy likes to dance. The other time I mentioned that Galen was really loud. Well, the only other time it got loud, well, not the only other, but the time that it got really loud when Boogie wasn't lighting up the Bruins was when Caleb struck his Heisman pose and was introduced at center court. And it was a funny moment. Down the stretch of the game, he was taunting the Bruins when they were like taking a free throw or something. You know the song, I Hate UCLA by Biz Markie. Caleb was into it. He was having a great time, as were his teammates. I can't repeat what some of the guys were yelling from the student section, but they were having a really good time. So, like I said, USC is still a football school, but it's nights like Thursday night where they just manhandle their crosstown rival UCLA Bruins, and it can be contagious. So, just a couple of random notes on our basketball show of the week. It was rivalry week. You guys can hang with it. People have always wondered, why haven't USC been opening the curtain at Galen Center? Beautiful arena. You open up the curtains, gives you a great view of this downtown LA skyline. Well, many thought it was because there's construction going on across the street at Felix Chevrolet. That's not the case. The reason the curtain isn't open, I found this out. One Pac-12 coach complained that it gives USC an unfair advantage. I'm not sure what that advantage is because nobody else complains about it, but it's a Pac-12 mandate that the curtain stay closed. So it's not up to USC. It's not their choice. One coach. I'll let you guys try and decide who it was, but no, not gonna name names. Oh, and by the way, so you think, all right, well, USC is only going to be in the Pac-12 for another year. True, this year, and then in 2024 they joined the Big. Well, I also learned that a few things need to change at Galen Center. It has nothing to do with a curtain. Apparently, the big representatives from the big conference did a walkthrough at Galen, and they made some suggestions that they would like to have in place by the time USC is ready to open conference play. I don't know what that means, but the underlying message was you're not playing in the minor leagues anymore. You need to get this place ready. I'm not sure what that meant, but maybe parking has something to do with it. Again, another note. The parking structure at the USC Hotel right adjacent to Galen Center sold out. They were sending the overflow to the Flower Street parking lot. So great time at Galen tonight. So there you go. USC is now 15-6. They're just one game back of first place UCLA, 17-4. And they have the Washington schools coming in next week. So USC is off until next Thursday when they'll host, is it Washington or Washington State? Regardless, they play those guys next weekend. And they also get the Arizona schools coming into LA. More importantly, Arizona. So getting that win against UCLA was almost a must win in a way. And you'll be looking forward to the game against Arizona. What I'm really trying to say is there's no room left for any type of bad losses. You got a great resume win. You got another one coming up in a couple weeks. No more bad losses. All right. Until USC and Arizona hook up in basketball, until I talk about basketball again, why don't you head on over to FanDuel? You want to know why you need to head over to FanDuel? Because the NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because they're the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. And if you are that new customer, join today. And when you get started, you're going to get $150 in free bets, guaranteed, when you place your first $5 bet. So just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon, and FanDuel has all of your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads and to even player prop bets. Plus, you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So you can do all this on an app that's really safe, it's really secure, and it's super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Once again, I want to say thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Just got done talking about USC hoops. You need to make sure to check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, you're going to hear from big name experts, insiders, coaches, and the players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Now, I don't know if Bill Walton's over there, but it was kind of fun watching him do the YMCA dance during one of the timeouts. It was a really fun time at Galen. All right. I know everyone's saying enough basketball. Talk football. Here we go. Got a few notes for you here. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty with football recruiting. Not a lot to talk about, so it's going to be a quick segment. Nevertheless, here it is. USC is looking really good for the speedy cornerback from Sarah, Roderick Pleasant. He was supposed to take a visit to Oregon. Well, he didn't. He's in Big Bear, California instead, and that means unless something strange happens, between now and signing day next Wednesday, Roderick should be USC's big signature on Wednesday. Again, they're holding out for 3 names in the high school ranks. He was one. Deuce Robinson, the tight end, big wide receiver from Pinnacle High School, Scottsdale. And then you have Warren Roberson, the commit to TCU early signing period, who never signed. Speaking of, by the way, I was told, well, actually Scott Schrader over at WeRSC.com was told that all that Roderick Pleasant has left between now and signing day is a USC in-home visit. So Roderick will not be visiting Oregon, and unless something strange happens, you should feel pretty good about that one. And Scott Schrader is not my only source on this one, by the way. He's got a pretty good source with Roderick Pleasant. Speaking of Warren Roberson, though, the safety from Texas, the one who was committed to TCU, who never signed, I don't know if distance is creeping into his decision-making, but he took a visit to Austin, Steve Sarkisian. Look, if you're going to stay home, why not just sign with TCU? It's just a little weird. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't feel as confident about that, but he's been out here, took the visit. We'll see. Maybe that'll be a pleasant surprise next Wednesday. I really didn't mean to do that; it just kind of happened. And then, okay, we're gonna. Maybe this might not have anything to do with the 2023 class, but let's talk 2024 recruiting. We know that USC has Malachi Nelson in their 2023 class, #1 quarterback in the country, according to ESPN. Well, that's not stopping the nation's overall #1 prospect in the class of 2024, 5-star plus, I'm not sure what that means, quarterback Dylan Raiola. He's taking another visit to USC. Now, and that was confirmed in fact, it's confirmed he'll be visiting USC this weekend as we're speaking, heading into signing day 2023. Maybe some of you saw it, maybe some of you didn't. I took a picture. Last year, Dylan was on campus and he bumped into Mark Sanchez. He committed to OSU not too long after that. Well, he's backed off that commitment since, and according to On3's Chad Simmons, who, by the way, is no relations to Eli Manning's Chad. No, I'm kidding. Chad Simmons said this. Coaches from across the country have been in contact with him, but there are 2 teams who are high on his list right now. According to the On3 director of recruiting, Chad Simmons, those 2 teams are Georgia and USC. So Charles Powers, who is no relation to Eli Manning's distant cousin, Chad Powers, he is the director of scouting for On3, and he sees Dylan this way. This is how he summarizes Dylan if he was scouting him. He has advanced arm talent with the ability to make a wide variety of high-level throws as a high school underclassman. Looks like the top quarterback prospect and overall talent in 2024. 6'3", 210 pounds. He has a natural loose throwing motion with a unique arm dexterity, to deliver off platform and from multiple arm shots. In other words, think Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams, over the shoulder, sidearm, underneath, whatever. He can throw it from any angle. He can play both under center as well as in the shotgun. So he's ahead of the curve as a ball handler and in the quick passing game, shows good footwork and awareness in the pocket, capable of creative plays in the face of pressure. essentially, this guy is a NFLer waiting to happen. And he is the son of a 14-year NFL center, his dad, Dominic. So there you go. Some think, well, why wouldn't he go to Nebraska, where he would be a legacy? Matt Rule, great coach, but Lincoln Riley, better quarterback coach. So here's my prediction for recruiting. USC is going to get Roderick Pleasant. And while I'm not as confident in Roberson, I think he will be the pleasant surprise. And I think Deuce sticks with Georgia. And let's just look at it this way. USC can get Deuce in a couple of years with the transfer portal. And I'll explain why in the next segment. Apparently, I really struck a nerve with my USC is transfer you label the other day. Look, I choose my words very carefully. Yeah, it was a little bit of a, what the hell is he trying to say? I got to listen to that show type of header. That's the point, right? Get your attention. Well, one person let me know on the YouTube channel that they didn't appreciate it. It wasn't the way they would like to, characterize USC. And I explained why I did it the way I did. Well, someone who actually works for the USC football team had a few words for me at the game Thursday night, the USC UCLA game Thursday night. Not really. It was in fun. But I was like, hey, and I explained to him as well. I think people need to take the negative connotation away from transfer, because it's a major part of the recruiting toolbox now with the transfer portal. And if you can use it the right way, you're going to have to use it, because that's how you're going to fill rosters going forward. Yes, high school recruiting is important, but look, you can recruit all the offensive linemen you want in one class. You can bring it in 5 or 6. Remember, you're looking for a 60% hit rate to be successful. What did USC just do this offseason? They're bringing in 3 offensive linemen through the transfer portal, because while you recruit them young, they don't always develop on your schedule, and you need to have them ready. You need to have offensive linemen ready to play right away from year to year to year. You can't always rely on the development of high school offensive linemen. So we were having this conversation, and in the end, he agreed. Again, we were having fun with it, but so please listen, I'm not trying to talk negatively about USC as transfer you. I see it as a positive. It's a paradigm shift. I'll drive this train. You just get on. One last thing I want to hand to you, positive note for the weekend. Take this with you, because this is pretty cool. There have only been 4 players to win a Heisman, a national title, and a Super Bowl. Think about it. Only 4 players have ever done this. Charles Woodson, Michigan. Tony Dorsett from Pittsburgh, running back for the Dallas Cowboys. Charles Woodson, Green Bay. Well, of the 4, 50% of them come from USC. The other 2, Marcus Allen, Raiders. Reggie Bush, New Orleans Saints. Not bad. That's why USC will always be a football school, and that's why USC is NFL U, Heisman U, tailback U, wide receiver U. They are the U. I know that might upset Miami fans, but if you've ever seen head on over to YouTube and look it up. Who is the NFL football factory? It's USC. All right. On that note, I hope everyone had a great week. I had a great week. I had a lot of fun. The game at Galen was a lot of fun. Guys, listen, Basketball is fun. Get out to Galen Center, support the team. The football players were out there. They were having a blast, so you can too. All right. Until our next episode of Locked On USC, because we come at you 5 times a week. Once again, thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On College Basketball. They're free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. All right. I'll be back next week with another 5 more episodes. So until then, you know what to do.